OCs, the thing a lot of artists like to refer to as their literal children. I have a lot too. Like many other people, of course, but despite that being the case, I often don't know or have literally no fucking idea what to draw. Well, welcome these three idiots, the ones that are on the screen in the background, the speed paint, right fucking now. They're the only ones I can ever think of anything to draw. Especially because of the yellow-haired guy, because he just has this chaotic energy around him that, yeah, it's just very easy to think of ideas. Now, the entire way I thought of them is rather boring and long, and I'm gonna tell you all of it. So, welcome to me watching YouTube, and all of a sudden, I stumble upon this video of, like, Olympics if they were babies, like, Olympics with babies. And there's this one, like, child who has this cool hairstyle. I'm like, that's a cool hairstyle, right? So I, like, fucking draw it, like, quickly, because I like it. Later in the day, I decide to make a character for it, which is red-haired guy. And then it just kind of spirals out of control from there. Now, for Heidi, that's the Hyde, that's the yellow-haired guy. And for the black-haired guy, let's refer to him as a lazy right now, because that's his one character trait and he doesn't have a name yet. I'm a good writer. So, both of them, I actually know Hyde's backstory in this case. The creation story is a bit more interesting, as I just wanted another angsty boy to shove into my kind of main story in a way, so I made him, and he was very angsty, and he cried a lot, because I just like people crying, but he had no reason to be in the story, so then I just fucking kicked him out, because I didn't like him anymore. Then we go a few months into the future, when it's summer, and I low-key think of a storyline, or like a backstory for him, in a way, and I like that, so I kind of keep that. He's still not in the main story. Even though I'm not sure if I kicked him out now. He may be, but he wasn't important, so it doesn't fucking matter. It's not like he ever did anything. He just kind of was there and was all sad and awkward and very hissy. And then we move on into like a few months back, right? I'm just fucking bored, so I make scenarios with these two possible characters in my head with the main cast, or like the parts of the cast that I really like. And basically one of them is like Drew. Is that the guy from The Office, the weird one? Basically that, because I really like his character. And the other one is just a lazy fucking weirdo, and they do these like weird things together. Like, he just takes actually, they were both women at the time, because I wanted more woman characters, because I have like none that I actually like. Oops. But yeah, they were just ideas, and when I got to this point, it was like black, lazy over there, he doesn't have much of a creation backstory, I just drew him, right? So when I got to the red guy and I drew him, I was like, oh, he needs friends, of course he does. So I was just, like, I just shoved Hyde there. I kind of, like, looked at his old design that was pretty fucking shitty and redid it a bit. And then lazy over there, last, I don't know why I want to call him that. Yeah, he just kind of appeared. The only character trait he had, or like the reason for why he looks like what he looks like, is because I really wanted a character with genuinely messy hair, because I never do that. So that's a character with genuinely messy hair. Congratulations. That's why he exists. Now, for naming, I'm terrible with names, so let's move on to yellow guy. His name is Heidi, actually, but everyone calls him Hyde because Heidi is a girl's name. But listen, the main thing about him is that his parents were weird. Let's not get messed up into this. Whatever, he's really weird. His name is Heidi, okay? Then there's... Listen, the red guy is literally like... One of his only personality traits is that he's awkward. So I was like, Aki, yeah, that'd be a nice name. It kind of suits him. And I was like, Aquar? Aquar? I mean, it's so close to awkward. It's like, I'm not trying to be subtle at all, but I like the name, so that's his name right now. Say hello to Aki. And poor black-haired guy has no name yet. He's just called Lazy. And I mean, with my naming history, with having one character named Stick, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that was his actual name. Well, now we get to the entire idea of the story, right? The thing that I like about these three, I think, is that they both have all three of them have quite distinctive personalities. Like the yellow one, Heidi, he's the one who makes like everything happen. He like has this fucking goal where he wants to get rid of all crime in the world, and he has a very weird way of going about it, kind of. Then there's Lazy, who just kind of like goes along with almost, well, like literally anything. It's like, oh, if someone told him to strip right now, he would be like, okay, I'm gonna do it just for the shits and giggles. And then there's Aki, who's like uncomfortable in like every fucking situation, right? So they kind of like, they have such distinctive personalities, and especially Heidi, that it's so easy for me to think of anything for them to do. Now, as I mentioned, the entire story, there really isn't one. It was kind of created after I created them, but it's like, yeah, it's something for them to do. So as I mentioned, Heidi wants to fight all crime. And you know what, I'll start with Aki. That's where the entire thing starts. Okay, forget the Heidi thing. Okay, basically, I haven't thought of this much, but in their species, I call them Draken right now. I know, I'm original. That's quite, yeah, I'm original. They have this thing where they like live to like around 500 years for now, and they have a thing when they kind of grew like are around like 40, 50 years old. Like there's this thing where you kind of have to go into the world and try something and work with your hands, and like that is just a fucking tradition. You have to do that, even if you want to be, I don't know, fucking architect, like just draw houses all day. I don't know what architects do. You have to do that. It's like you have to, dude. So that's where Aki is at that point of his life, and he is sent to his like uncle's farm or whatever, so he can be there, and he hates it. He just wants to go home, and he gets put in a room with Heidi, right? Now Heidi, no one wants to be with Heidi. Like Heidi, he's just like very apathetic and very like loud and very like firm on his beliefs. Like everybody likes to ignore him most of the time. Like they don't want to have a room with him. And his uncle, Aki's uncle, kind of put him with Heidi to like kind of teach Aki to stand up for himself a bit more. Like, like clearly because the guy, or like, oh, the boy, he never stands up for himself, right? I'm gonna put him with this guy who's just gonna order him around all the time. Like, he has to snap. But Aki doesn't fucking snap. And it's like they kind of become like, Aki basically is, or like Heidi's basically Aki's only friend, because he's just so fucking like doesn't want to talk to anyone else, because he just like way too awkward about it, way too fucking self-conscious. I'm sorry, Aki. It's like I feel like I did this one to him. Well, yeah. Well, what happens then? They do the crime fighting stuff. Like, it's on the point of like, Heidi has this thing where he'll just be in one part of the city and he's like, alright, we'll be here for a week and we'll erase all the crime for here, and then we'll move like to next place and erase all the crime from here. And like after some time there wouldn't be any crime in this city, and after a long time there won't be any crime in the world. He really has a weird way of going about things. He's a bit childish, like in the way he believes things work too. So yeah, that's that. So they do that like almost every night. He actually doesn't really like authorities, which is weird. Heidi, I mean. Like, he just really doesn't like the ruling class and shit. He wouldn't like, because if you wanted to fight crime, right, you'd become a policeman or whatever the fuck they have. I'm not that far into the world building. I don't like police, sorry. Too lazy to fucking do anything with that. But like, you join them, but he like doesn't want to do that because he doesn't trust them and he doesn't like them and he wants to like completely redo everything. So what he's doing right now in the picture, you can see he's writing a book. And that's like a law book. I'm not sure what the word is right now, but basically, like all the fucking things that are considered a crime and all the punishments for them. So he does that, and he like, when he's actually fighting crime, quote unquote, he has like very specific rules about it. Like, he won't fucking assault anyone or he won't touch anyone because that's against his law. That's against the law, so he won't fucking do it. So most of the times when he's like actually chasing criminals with quotation marks around, he's just going to yell at them to like stop. Yeah, he's just a little bit of an idiot. And Aki, the poor guy, he just goes along with everything Heidi does because he like in a very awkward way. You know that one where you can just go along with everything someone does because you're not, like, don't want to stand out. That's basically Aki all the time with Heidi, especially. And like Heidi, he doesn't fucking care. He looks at Aki as his like right hand man, and like he's like, yeah, every good crime fighting hero, they always have the right hand man. So he's mine. He may be like a bit awkward, and like not really useful, but he's my right hand man. And he will tell that to Aki all the time. Like, Jesus Christ, he's like low-key a bad person. Let's be honest. Which of my characters aren't? Now we get to Lazy over there. Now Lazy. His one character trait, except for being lazy, his second, is that he's homeless. Now, very interesting in it. Now, I'm gonna get into his epic backstory. I haven't thought of it that much, but basically, he has... Jesus Christ, this is gonna be terrible. He has, like, lived in a big family, big people, and there is something with someone wanting him somewhere else, and with there being a lot of yelling going on around him. Well, then you could say, just runs away from home, just straight up just fucking leaves, like, I'm a head out kind of deal, and he becomes homeless, because, why the fuck not? I just, like, he's homeless. I hadn't thought of it that much. Of course I haven't. Like, the only thing I care about is them, like, doing stupid shit together. I could not care less about plot, honestly. But he does that, he's homeless, and... Heidi low-key looks at being homeless as a fucking crime, right? So he just kind of goes around and like he always sees Lazy and he's like, oh, you get a house, you should get a house, alright? Stop living on the streets, what does that bring you, okay? Kind of like that. He's very firm. And like after some time, they actually kind of start having Lazy around too and working on the farm too, and they kind of became a trio. Heck yeah, and they fight crime together, which is most likely just getting into very weird situations. Like, I haven't thought of many scenarios because, again, I only care about their interaction. So, yeah, I know that there's this one that I thought of where, like, there's this little girl who steals fruits from the market or, like, vegetables and shit, and, like, in the end they realize she's just giving it to, like, animals that are on her farm or whatever the fuck, something like that. Very interesting. Okay, I think I talked about their personalities a lot, except for, like, especially Heidi's, but Lazy's not really. So, Lazy, as I said, he will go along with everything. He doesn't really have much need to, like, aspire to be something better, which kind of reflects in his appearance. Ooh, which Heidi hates, by the way. Heidi's all about appearance. He's all about functionality and appearance and everything working nicely. And, like, Lazy kind of reflects that, and Heidi, like, part of why he, like, took him is partially because Aki was like, okay, maybe we could, like, have him, you know? And also because Heidi's like, I will show the world that he's a terrible person, really. Like, at times he's the kind of guy who, when you start crying, you'd be like, because you're depressed or something. When you start crying because you're depressed. When you're depressed, when you're sad and depressed, he'd be like, oh, just man up. What's the deal with that, dude? He's that kind of guy, really. He doesn't understand emotion, basically, too much. And, yeah, back to Lazy. I'm getting to Heidi again. Oh, dude. And he isn't even my favorite. My favorite is Aki, by the way. Anyway, Lazy, yeah, he's just that kind of dude. He's very touchy, actually. He doesn't mind any kind of physical contact, and he doesn't find it gay. Like, he's just gonna hug you and touch you all the fucking time. And he does that to Aki a lot, and Aki feels, like, very awkward about it in the first place because he doesn't know how to respond to it. Like, he's just like, okay, I'm just, like, gonna stand here, but... after some time he gets so used to it, he just doesn't fucking mind. Like, they could just be like, Lazy could just come up to him and like hold his hand, and they'd be walking through town and be like, yeah, this is fine, I don't even care anymore. Like, I don't even notice it. It's kind of gay in it. Whatever, if girls can hold hands and not be gay, then guys can do that too. I'm all for equality. Well, yeah, I guess that'd be about it. For Aki, he like never stands up for himself. He's a little pussy bitch. He's like, A lot of people just describe being around him as an awkward time, which makes him even more self-conscious about everything he does and says. And the reason he's my favorite is because, now get me, I think I need to ease you into this one. So around the time when I made the three of them, I watched a lot of comic shows or shit about drugs, right? Like getting, like, not addicted to drugs, what the fuck? Like taking drugs and how it is. And, so there's Aki. Right, I imagine he'd be very fucking obsessed to it, right? Like, we have Heidi, the crime-fighting prodigy who just fights all the crime, and of course there's, like, they live in a bigger town. Like, it's a thing, I haven't thought about this at all, I just kind of, like, thought about it. I just thought of it, and I was like, yeah, I kind of like this, though. So it kind of devolves from, because it happens to all my stories. We just go from like normal to, and now it's angsty. Everything is angst, and like everything is just complicated because something happened, I guess. And this one especially, it's always these lighthearted ones that end up like that. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I'm not sure where all of it goes. Basically, Aki's like, he kind of low-key starts taking drugs. Like, to the point, because it makes him a bit more, like, confident, you could say, and a bit more fun to be around. And he's like, shit, people actually like me like this? So he eventually gets actually addicted to them. Just saying this out loud, it's so cringy, innit? Like, clearly, I have no... I have no reason to have that in the story, but for whatever fucking reason, I just find it so interesting that I just gotta fucking shove it on poor old Aki, like, Jesus Christ. You know, that's kind of a thing. Yeah, like, saying it out loud, it really makes me want to just slap myself real hard, but, like, just like it. Anyway, at one point, they meet this other girl, who's, like, I'm gonna call Dandelion at this point, because, she's, like, basically inspired by a dandelion. I'm pretty sure that's the weird flower, right? Anyway, she's a stripper. Cool, and I, like, in my head at one point, she's actually, like, Aki's girlfriend to a point, like, and then they break up. I don't know what the fuck happens there, right? It's just kind of like, oh, they fight crime, and it just becomes very hazy with, like, I guess Aki is addicted to drugs now. Angst? Yeah, the green guy also comes, the fourth one of them, dude. That's one of the things that makes Aki feel so insignificant, because he's like at the point, right? Because when he was just with Heidi, he just, like, didn't really, like, have anyone else to talk to. But now there's Lazy, and, like, Lazy, he's, like, also not very good. But when green guy comes in, he's actually, like, yeah, I'm gonna talk about green guy now, even though he isn't even in the picture. Like, green dragons, they're healers, and there's, like, a little less of them than the other colors. Like, the only one that's below them is purple, and, like, the kind of non-existent ones. Whatever, purple is below them, and they're, like, the second most uncommon color, right? And they can heal, which is, like, something that none of the other colors can do. It's very original. So, it's kind of expected for you to heal people, just because, like, if you have the ability, you should do it. It's like you owe it to the world to heal them. And, yeah, he just really doesn't like that, and he wants to fight people, so he fights people a lot, and that's kind of how his personality ends. But he is low-key possessive and, like, really hard to proving himself that he's, like, really good, so he just goes around and bullies Aki all the time, because reds are actually, like, like the kind of like the most prestigious of the colors in a way, except for purple. Like, reds kind of mean power. They can actually, like, if you learn magic, they can control people. And Aki, he can do none of that shit. He can't even do magic. I'm pretty sure, like, with fire, he can't even do fire to most extent, because if you want to do that, you kind of just have to train yourself, or else your hands will kind of get burns, and, like, he never does fire, so, like, he's not a fighting type. But that doesn't mean that green guy just doesn't, like, go really hard into him. Like, Heidi is, of course, very interested in green guy, because finally he's someone who can actually fight. And, like, Lazy, he just loves pissing people off sometimes, so he's around green guy all the time, and Aki just kind of has this feeling like, oh yeah, I don't even fucking have to be here, do I? Like, fuck me. He just wants to go home. That's his entire storyline. I want to go home, please. Yeah. Like, to wrap this up, there's clearly no fucking character arcs because I do not care about that. No, I do not care. Yeah. Oh fuck, this was pretty shit if I'm being honest. Like, saying this all out loud makes me realize how terrible of a person I am for being so interested in addiction. Like, what the fuck, why'd I gotta put that one in, dude? Like, Jesus, like, am I a terrible person? Please tell me in the comments. Yes, audience interaction, tell me in the comments if I'm a terrible person. Alright, thanks.